Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another exciting episode of Fore Dads Podcast. Today we have a special guest, Tony. Tony is going to be a dad soon, so huge congratulations to him.
Ooh, congrats.
Yeah. So we wanted to make this episode a special one because it's the holiday season. Everyone's getting gifts. The wife's always asking, what should we get our husband or your boyfriend? Golf stuff, you can never go wrong. So with this, we brought on Tony. Tony is a master club fitter and he's the head guy for Golf Tech out in Folsom. So if you're in the area, please go check him out. Go check out his spot. Great team. Yeah, I mean, I've been to the facility. Super awesome. It's come a long way since he and I worked together at Golfsmith. Tony is wise beyond his years when it comes to golf. So we're going to ask a few questions and get some of his insight as far as, why is getting fitted such an important thing and how can it help your game? As always, we got Teeds here as well too. So Teeds is very excited about this because Teeds has been wondering how important is it for him to get fitted as well too. So yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up and, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, Tony. How long have you been in the industry? Tell us a little bit more about Golf Tech and kind of what you guys are doing and how we can help, drive business for you.
Right on, Elio. Well, thanks for having me on, guys. I've been in the industry since, it's been a while. I started in the industry in 2006 at Golf Mart. And then from there, I started with Golfsmith in 2012 to 14. I was a master fitter for Golfsmith, which is where you and I met. And then since then, I've been with Golf Tech since 2014 and taught about 10,000 lessons, but I've probably done, 2,000 fittings, something like that. A lot of fittings. Yeah. Over every manufacturer, well, not everyone, but most of the main ones that you would know: Titleist, TaylorMade, Ping, Mizuno, Callaway. Basic, when you're talking about iron fitting specifically, the breakdown that you want to get fit for is you want to get fit for the club head, obviously, which is what everyone gets stuck on, is what manufacturer you want to get, what do you want to play, basically. But the length of the golf club is definitely important. The lie angle is very important. The shaft stiffness and the weight are also important because they're going to affect the spin and the launch angle, and then the grip size based off your hand size. So for someone like me, I'm pretty average size, I would say. 5'9", 5'10". My wrist to floor is about 33.5 inches. So size-wise, I'm generally standard-esque for most manufacturers. I would say Callaway, Ping, and some like the P series TaylorMades. But for companies like Titleist or Titleist, I am about a degree flat. And then same with like Cobra or some of the other manufacturers that have a little bit more upright golf clubs generally. Someone like your size, Julio, you definitely want to get fit. Because you're taller, and anybody who's shorter than I am definitely needs to get fit because it's just most of the if you're not getting the proper lie angle or length, then you're already behind. You're going to have a hard time hitting the golf ball solid, basically. So, yeah.
And those are all great pieces. I mean, we both come from meeting at Golfsmith. I've done my share amount of fitting as well too, but definitely with the ever changing equipment in golf and kind of the way that lofts are being strengthened. They're trying to lengthen clubs just a hair, just to kind of give you that extra distance on your irons. I know there's a lot has changed since I last have done it. So going back to what you said, let's talk about face angle. Why is the lie and the face angle so important when it comes to even just the smallest piece in a golf swing?
So face angle relative to the lie angle. Lie angle is also relative to length as well. So, for instance, every half inch that you extend a golf club changes the lie angle by generally around 1 degree, depending on the manufacturer, but most of them are about half inch to 1 degree. Every degree that you're generally off on lie angle is going to promote 7 to 10 yards of offline ball flight, which is pretty substantial. So if you're off by a couple degrees, let's say I play your golf clubs, right? Because you're 6'2"-ish, right? And your wrist to floor is higher than mine. If I played your golf clubs, I would hit a lot of heavy hooks with your golf clubs, which is I don't have a problem hitting heavy hooks or maybe not heavy, but I don't have a problem hitting a hook. So it might be worse. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. And what's typically the number one? What do you find is kind of the hardest part about someone coming in who's just starting? Just starting the game. What do you think is the biggest difficulty in getting them into, one, the right manufacturer, two, the right club setup that has built something for them to grow?
So getting them into the right manufacturer. To me, I'm definitely a very unbiased person, and you can see that from my golf bag. I don't care what someone plays, generally speaking, as long as they're playing something that's better for them than what they currently have. As far as what was the second question? Second question was
fitting for something for them to build into.
Gotcha. So there's two different ways that you can fit somebody. You can fit someone based off of their swing, or you can fit someone based off their sizing. I generally fit off of sizing because after the person's 18, 19 years old, they're not getting any taller. So when it comes down to it, you can fit someone. It depends on the person, obviously, but if you go to a fitter and they're trying to fit you for the shot shape, most of the time they're just trying to fit you to hit the ball as straight as you can that time that you're there. But somebody who has teaching experience as well, obviously, I don't look at it from the sense of I'm trying to make the person perfect right now. I try to make it where 3, 6, 12 months down the road, if your swing does get better, you're not going to grow out of the golf clubs that you have right now. So if someone comes in that's slicing the golf ball, right, I can make the club more upright. But if you just do that, then all that's going to happen is now they're hitting the ball straight. You put a fairway wood in their hand or a driver in their hand, and it's not making them any better. So I'd much rather just have them properly sized, get something that's the only thing that you would probably grow out of is as you got better, you might grow out of the shafts. You might need something a little bit stiffer, but from a size perspective, length, lie angle, and grip size, and then the club head, it's really rare that you're going to grow out of that. Club head wise, especially from a newer player, you can play with something, you can get something that's going to be more forgiving, but that's relative to what the person decides on. I'm just looking at it from a spin perspective, launch angle, and descent. So it doesn't really matter to me. So,
that's a really smart way of going about it, just because, like you said, if they're 18, 19, 20, 21, I know men, they can have growth spurts within 19 to 22 years old, but as long as that's good to go and you got the length down, then the lie angle you can change fairly easily, right? Is it forwards or unforwards?
If it's forwards, you can change it for sure. If it's cast,
you can change it. Yeah, no problem.
I wouldn't recommend trying to bend too much with cast golf clubs.
But if you got forwards, then if you really want to and you really get into it, you can change that if you do get better, and you definitely can improve. So that makes sense. It's kind of like, I don't know, like when it comes to like pitching, I know like Julio and I play baseball, and you have pitching coaches that they'll try to emulate what they did, what made them successful. And it's like if the pitching coach is like 5'11" and the kid is like 6'6", and he's like weighs like 100 more pounds than him, like, okay, he might not have as much flexibility. He might not
mechanics are gonna be a little different.
It's gonna be so different. So like use what benefits them. And that's a good tip right there, because I feel like when people just get into it, they're like, okay, what's the club that's going to make it easy for me? Which in the short term, if you're only going to play like once every year or once every couple months with like a work group or something like that, then that might work. But if you really want to get a club that'll really help you down the line, that's smart. Never thought about that. I've only fitted about like 3 to 4 people in my life. So, and I really hope they got the right set of clubs. It's been about like 8 to 9 years.
They haven't called you yet, but so I'm sure you're fine.
Yeah, they don't know. Yeah, I'm out of the industry now. So I'm that's smart. I never heard about that. I never heard of going about it that way. But I always worry, like when some people get into it new and they're like, "Hey, what should I do? What should I do?" Like for clubs, if they're going to get new clubs, and it's like, well, I know you want to get fitted, but you might have those fitters that, like you said, are trying to get everything straight to be like, hey, if the straighter is the more expensive club, let's push you to that club just because it's going to give me some more commission, you know, instead of if you want something that's going to improve your game.
Yeah, I'm out of that, out of that lifestyle now, so it doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah, I remember those days. Yeah, I'm new to golf. What clubs do you recommend?
Oh, you are? Oh, great. Okay. You don't know anything. Okay, great. Okay, I got the perfect
tailor-made Stratas right here for you, buddy.
These are never on sale. Perfect. Use these.
20% off today.
Yeah. That's where you get the really boutique golf clubs, which we don't sell. So yeah.
So here's a real question. So you and I have played golf for many years together now. How important is having the correct shaft flex?
Very important.
So let's talk about what are the parameters of fitting someone into a senior flex. What club head speed are you looking with an iron swing to say, hey, you know, you're going to be looking at a senior, then, you know, regular. What separates somebody from swinging graphite to steel? And
so just to get that out of the way of the difference between shafts is what you're actually asking. The difference between a senior flex versus a regular flex and a regular flex versus a stiff flex is the stiffer that you go, the lower the ball launches with less backspin. So it's less about trying to figure out how fast the person is swinging, because especially with most launch monitors, unless you're using like a TrackMan or something that's Doppler radar outside, you're not actually seeing the club head speed. And when it comes down to it, club head speed's relative, but not the most important factor, because you can hit the ball off the toe or the heel, and the ball speed is going to show that's lower. Therefore, the club head speed is going to show lower. It's more about which shaft is right for the person based off the spin, the launch angle, and the descent angle. So if you're launching it too low, you probably need to go to a lighter flex or a less stiff or a less heavy shaft. If you're launching it too high with too much spin, the way, you know, one of the three of us in this group does, right? You probably want to go stiffer, like an X heavier, right? So tendency wise, if you're too stiff, right, you're gonna launch it too low. If you're not stiff enough, or or the weight isn't heavy enough, you're going to overspin the ball. So you'll see like that fairway wood that kind of hits that wind and starts to rise too much, or driver that starts to rise into the wind, and you start seeing with a driver, you don't want to see more than, you know, 2,900 RPMs of backspin. Realistically, 2,400 is a really good number. Depends on who you are as far as a fitter. I mean, you want to get down to like 2,000, you can hit the ball really far. But anything under about 1,800 is going to be ducky and left, which is, I don't like to live there.
I had a lot of those yesterday.
You don't want to see those brutal balls, those high toes, 1,600 RPMs of backspin. That thing, it doesn't feel good. It's the so with say like a 7-iron, you're going to need somewhere around like 6,000-ish RPMs of backspin. Is going to give you not just optimum distance. That's what most people look at, is just how far the ball goes. But if you're not spinning it enough, let's say you're spinning it at like 4,000 or 4,500 with a 7-iron, you're going to hit the front of that green. And in the summertime, it's going to roll all the way to the back. And then it's really hard for you to get that, to dial that down. Where like, I mean, I've seen you hit 7-iron, Zolio, that almost come backwards. You know what I mean? In which case you're spinning it too much. So it is what it is.
Now, do you think that the ball may have something to do with that too?
Yeah, definitely. Backspin off of a golf ball is a huge factor. So depends on the manufacturer that you like to go with as far as golf balls. I really like.
Let's go with Titleist.
So Titleist golf balls for you or for me, or just in general. Let's start with one of the three.
Just in general.
Just in general, the answer to your question is yes. It does make a difference.
Yeah.
Would you say it makes, like, out of club and golf ball, that like club is like 80% and like ball is like 20% of the spin? Or would you say like a percentage is out of both?
I would say a
club
huge,
is obviously the most
huge factor is
important.
probably the shaft stiffness and shaft weight. That would be one of the bigger ones that's going to change spin. With a golf ball, you're probably going to see 200 to 500 RPMs of backspin difference, depending on the club that you're hitting. I mean, you could see a little bit more, but you're not going to see an exponential amount. Where with a shaft, if I hit a senior flex shaft and I'm normally playing like a heavy stiff or an extra stiff shaft, then I'm probably going to overspin that golf ball and it's going to come backwards on a set. You don't want to see that shot where it just hits the wind and just rises and then, plugs. Yeah. It's never a good feeling. So, yeah.
Okay.
What about you, Julio?
Well, what
about your shaft? The stiffness of your shaft. Do you feel like the shaft is stiff?
So I play. I play a dynamic gold X100 2 issue.
It's pretty stiff shaft. 130
hard
heavy.
Stepped.
Yeah.
130 hard stepped. And I mean, I still balloon the ball sometimes, and it's more just because I get a little wristy with my
add a little loft
backhand.
Hands. Sure.
Yeah, add a little loft to it, but I've hit some that are
piercing.
I've hit some into the wind that are just piercing, where it's like I put another 10 yards over the green on. It's like, where did that just come from?
Yeah, lay off the weight room, bros. Take a few weeks off the weight room. Should be fine.
He's got that lifter. He's got the dad lift now, right?
Oh, dude,
But no, I mean, I just find it so interesting, now that it's like, I used to always play. I actually used to never play Titleist, Pro Vs for the longest time. I was always a TaylorMade TP5X guy, or what was the other one? The Shrixon Z-Star?
Z-Star would be the low spin.
XV.
Yeah, Titleist changed their golf ball a few years back. So they went from the Pro V1X was the lower spinning golf ball, and a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, they changed it from the X being the low spinning golf ball now to the Pro V1 being the low spinning golf ball. And on top of that, they actually came out with the Pro V1X Left Dash, which is now like the even lower spinning golf ball. So like you and I did that. Did that golf ball switch a few weeks ago where, I gave you those Pro V1s and you gave me the V1Xs, and it's the same. I mean, it's an even trade, but when it comes down to it, I needed more spin, you need less. So that golf ball doesn't work over here. It works better for you.
At the golf course by my house, they have they have like a training simulator. So I went in there just to check and see. I forgot to tell you this when we played Eagle Vines, but I went in there just to see, like, between Pro V1X, Pro V1X Left Dash, and Pro V1 and Pro V1. I had 2,400 exactly with driver with Pro V1,
pounding the golf ball. You're hitting, you're carrying it over 300 yards all day long.
Yeah, I was like 320 carry,
just absolutely monster balls.
Must be nice.
Then Left Dash was at 40. I'm sorry, 2,100. So I was getting a little ducky.
Yeah,
I was getting a little ducky with them. and they weren't, the height wasn't, or
it's harder to
the height
control that
wasn't
golf shot. It'll go
as
further, but it's just harder to control that like ducky.
It rolled like 40 yards.
It'll go forever.
It rolled like
but it's just hard to control that shot.
I was only carrying the ball. Yeah, I was only getting the ball like 295, 300 carry, which is still really good. It's just there was just the ball wasn't going anywhere. But with the Pro V1X, it went up to 3,000 RPMs, and on top of that, it was the ball spin angle was much higher. It just came straight down and just like
you're gonna
maybe 10 yards.
You're gonna plug that golf ball. So it's interesting. Yeah. Makes a huge difference.
Yeah. That's crazy. I mean, like 2015, I think was like the last year that I had worked in the golf industry at Roger Dunn out here in Fresno. And before I left, I got like 5 boxes of like Pro V1s for like $20, like the personal use discount or whatever, like
that's a steal.
And so, and I didn't, and after that, I didn't have time or the money to play. So I didn't play golf till like get back into it till like 2020. So they were just like sitting in my closet. Played them, and then ever since 2020 hit, the pandemic and everything, the only thing you could really do was go outside and golf, and so I got heavily back into it. And for like the first few times when I ran out of boxes, I would get Pro V1s, and then one day I looked it up and I was like,
the same ball.
I need the more spin.
It's not the same ball.
I need the more spin. But till you said that, I didn't realize that they swapped it, because I was like, that makes so much sense, because I thought like, why would I get a lower spinning ball? I need a higher spinning ball. But that makes sense. It was lower back when I got it, or it was higher when I got
2016 it. 2016 definitely was the opposite.
And so,
wow,
okay.
Because I did the same. I did so much.
You said that
I bought a bunch of Pro V1s, and with the newer golf ball, I'm seeing like just ducky lefts, and I can hook the ball better than anybody. I'm telling you right now. I can hit those snappy doos, and for me to have a low spinning golf ball doesn't make any sense. I need more spin. I like the backspin with my driver to be like 23 to like 2600. That's what feels the best to me. That's what keeps it on the right side with left spin, where I can draw it in, but like draw it to the right side of the flag, where I'm not like over drawing the golf ball. I don't want to curve the ball away from the ball, curve it towards it. Right. So that feels the best. It doesn't necessarily go the furthest. I'm fully aware of that. If I wanted to go the furthest, I would use the TaylorMade slider method, which is, you launch it at 17 degrees with 1700 RPM to spin. That's as far as it's going to go, but that doesn't mean it's going to be in the middle. It just means it's going to go far.
Right.
Yeah. And I can hit duck hooks with that too. Sure. It was a good idea. The better model was the one after that, which was the M1. M1 actually came with the slide rail that went backwards, which helped you change the spin. It wasn't just weight forward, right, where everyone had to loft up.
Yeah.
So it was a good idea, the thought process, but that company has definitely evolved. I mean, now it's not even, you can definitely change the weighting, but it's the twist face technology, and that's so much better. The twist face of how a TaylorMade driver works, of toe shots versus heel shots, it's very similar to it just makes it more forgiving. There's plenty of drivers out there that are, if you're playing something that's from a slider era, you can basically get, and not anything, but if you got fitted for something new, it would be better, just flat out. Because the new Rogue series, the Titleist TSR, especially the TSR2, great driver. Rogue ST Max is a great driver for newer players. The LS is like a pretty bomber driver too. But there's a lot of good golf clubs out there that are definitely better than predecessors. If you're looking at that, if you have a driver that's like 4 to 5 years old, it's probably time. Yeah. If you're looking at something that's like from last year, like you have last year's model, you're probably not going to get really that much more distance out of it. Like, it's pretty rare that you're going to find something that's like way better year to year. Otherwise, if everyone's talking about getting, 6 to 10 yards. Like they don't post that the way they used to. Remember when we used to work at Golfsmith? It was like, oh, 15 more yards. It's like, okay, but if they did 15 more yards every single time you came out with a new club, I would hit my lob wedge like 300 yards. Like,
right.
Doesn't make any sense. So,
right.
Man, I remember the Big Bertha irons when those things came out. Those were like the ones where you should see 7 to 10 more yards on your 7-iron. I'm like, I went into the monitor and hit it. I was like, well, I definitely got 7 to 10, but yeah, I was like, I can't hit the ball that high. It's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, just moon balls,
man.
Just moon ball, but it looked good on the monitor though. It was all carried. But speaking of good drivers, I don't know if you guys have heard. So Kyle Berkshire was talking about the new Aerojet Cobra.
No, I haven't.
Well, of course, he's sponsored by.
We don't
right?
carry Cobra at our center, so I don't look into Cobra a lot. But what about it?
It looks pretty good here. Actually, let me show you guys. It looks pretty good. It
Can you share a screen on here?
Me of like the what is it? The old the old M1 from
TaylorMade,
like half white, half
from TaylorMade.
That's what it reminds
me of. Like you see this here, like check this out. Like so they have all the weight pushed up forward. I guess these.
So the weight pushed up forward is going to move the center. You're moving the center of gravity further forward, which is going to lower the backspin.
Yeah, but then you see how here on the toe you have 3 degrees or 3 grams of
I can't see that, but okay,
weight.
3 grams. And what's the heel?
On the heel is at 12.
A little draw
so
bias.
They're saying
and
that you
can
swap
adjust
it
it
based off
more
of
fade biased.
Right.
Mm.
Kind of like how the what was it? The Callaway Big Bertha was. With the interchangeable weight in the heel.
Yep. I had the Big Bertha Alpha 815 until like last year.
Razor Fit Extreme was the one that I had that had the toe heel. Yeah.
So
I still have it actually.
This, but like
it was green.
They changed the face, so he was saying that now the face is he's seeing about 3 miles an hour faster, which is huge for him.
Heck yeah.
I mean, the guy's already got the fastest ball speed in golf already. So if he's seeing 3 on like a normal, competitive golf swing, that's pretty huge.
Carbon fiber crown.
But this is kind of where he was saying. This was kind of where he was saying that he's worried about this is because it's a fully carbon fiber head. Yeah, that's gonna
with his club head speed, it might. But that's why these manufacturers have like warranties and whatnot.
Yeah, I had like 5 or 6 of these at every single competition.
But supposedly this is supposed to be the new driver that's going to be relevant to that new LTDX that they had, which I tried that and I did like that. I did like the feel of it, and I liked the LTDX Plus, which was it was like the 440 head. That one. I was nuking it, but I can't have Cobra in my bag.
Anti-Cobra?
I'm very Callaway.
Are you all Callaway? I never even thought about that.
Putter wise, I'll switch a putter every day, but I'm super committed to Callaway. Those guys are just doing something special.
Yeah.
Every time I hit it just feels great. I mean, I talked to you about maybe getting some T100s. The reason I haven't pulled the trigger is just because it's another set of clubs, but yeah, I have.
But you always go back to your main ones.
These are ridiculous.
Right.
I don't need it.
Yeah, you're like me, but like Titleist. Like as much as I'm okay, I used to be like, okay, what ones will help me? Now I'm just like, screw it. I got OCD. Yeah. All Titleist.
Yeah.
I'm all FootJoy. Sure. Like I'm that guy, and I'm just, I don't know. I'm that guy at the gym too. If I'm wearing Nike, it's all Nike. I'm not going to wear like Nike Under Armour socks with an Adidas shirt and like,
Travis Matthews, Taylor.
I don't know. Just
I don't
weird.
Care. I'm the exact opposite. I'm the exact
to each their own. To each their own. I don't mind it.
Like
everyone has their own thing. So.
Playing across the board, Titleist wedges.
Well, so for me, irons wise, I always want Callaway. My woods, Callaway, but wedges, I mean, I'm not opposed to playing Titleist. I played.
It's really hard to beat Titleist wedges. Boki's just so consistent, and then. But if I really do like the Callaway wedges because Roger Cleveland makes the wedges.
Me too. The spin.
I don't know if you knew that, but Roger Cleveland's been Roger Cleveland's made. Who started Cleveland? He's made Callaway wedges since 2005. Not a lot of people know that.
Yeah.
But
those daddies, dude. I had Julio hooked me up with 3 of those, and I had so much. I needed them for the spin. And I remember one time I had a 60 degree full shot, and one of my buddies was like, "Yeah, dude, your ball landed like a foot away from the hole, spun out like 30 yards."
Story of my life.
I was like, "Are you kidding?" I don't know how to control that, but like some other people can. But like that is what I needed. And now with Voki that I'm back on, I have okay, but it's definitely not like okay. I can give it a little bit far and it's going to come back. It's like. Just hope that it gets there and stops near the hole. Still working on that because now with a kid and everything, I'm not able to practice as much as I'd like to. But yeah, that's one thing I do enjoy about Callaway.
They make great wedges.
For sure.
Odyssey makes great putters too, but Titleist makes Scotty Cameron's are hard to beat, right? I got it.
Right.
A closet full of them, right?
You have
I'm a collector when it comes to Scotty Cameron putters, buddy.
You got like the Louis Vuitton.
My
you
wife
got like the Louis
Vuittons
Vuittons of Scotty Cameron.
She's looking at me right now with this face of like, can I? She asked me the other day. She was like, "So can I buy as many boots as you have putters?" I was like, "Sure, whatever. Yeah, go for it." As long as those boots are worth
as long as there's a return on investment, they're
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly why I said he has like the Scotty or the Louis Vuitton of Scotty Cameron collections where he bought them at like this price and they're worth quadruple the amount now.
Just like Scotty Cameron in general. I realized last year that like if you are part of the Scotty Cameron club that you can like pay for like a yearly membership, you get like access to, the new tour putters that come out first, access to the head covers. You can get one of their head covers for like $75 and swap it for like $200 easy every single time. Oh, yeah. And if that's just the way that you're going about it, probably not what a lot of people
most people
doing.
Just, most people
what
think
they call that price gouging.
And they just end up keeping them, and they have like a wall.
Exactly, right? That's like Julio's
like me and all my swag stuff. Like me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna sell it eventually. It's like no, you're not. You're just gonna put it on the wall like all the rest of them.
Right?
Yeah. You're just going to make a shrine of it in the back.
And then 5 years later, it's like $1,000. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I did the Scotty Cameron Club for a little while, like in 2016. I did it. And dude, it's great if you're collecting like the backpacks,
the little like Sunday
bags, the yearly things, and then the head covers, obviously. But dude, there's this kid that I play golf with over at Marin Country Club. His name's Nick Wu. He has, and this is his, like, he's on track to become a Corn Ferry player. Like he competes competitively, and he has a Circle T exact replica of Tiger's putters that he uses as a game.
Gross.
And I'm like,
right.
I'm like,
it's like a down payment on my house that you're like putting right there. Like,
I would not even take that out of
German stainless steel.
Well, he was like, he goes, when I first signed up for it, like in 20 or like in 2000,
he probably bought it for like 5 or 10 grand.
He's only like 20.
He probably sold.
Yeah, he bought it for like 5 or 10 grand, but it's like he's gone through and like made sure like everything is like pristine. Like he had the whole walkthrough. He spent like $5 grand on it. Now it's worth a shit ton, even though it's actually seen play, because the steel, the forged steel that they used, it doesn't leave any marks. Like there's no rust marks, there's no scrapes. It's just like,
as long as you got a cover on it and you don't have any Happy Gilmore putter throws, you should be good at keeping that pretty good.
Until you practice as much as Tiger does, and you start putting a little dot in the middle of the face. That thing is worn out.
Right?
It's so gangster.
Man, did you see like his irons from
Titleist irons that he used to have,
or whatever he won, like the 4 majors?
Little BD
and they're just like
so gross. Pure every time.
So cute.
You guys, unbelievable.
Well, cool, man. Well, it was great having you here on the podcast.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I know we kind of got a little distracted with just being golf sluts and wanting to talk about everything. But definitely, I know that fitting is such a huge thing that everyone comes to, especially for a lot of new golfers. And in 2020, I think golf has been at the highest peak, and it's only going to keep going because it is enjoyable. It's a very social and competitive and fun,
right?
game that we all enjoy with a lot of torture. But
now that hoodies are socially acceptable on the course too, we're going to bring a lot of more youngsters.
Exactly.
To the course as well. I do have one more question. So I know Julio mentioned at the beginning, but like in your opinion, when it comes to fitting turf, grass, what do you do, and what would, in your opinion, what is the best way to go about fitting on turf?
So
or fitting
I'm
on grass?
obviously indoors. I do it specifically on turf. I've actually only ever fit people on turf. So fitting someone on grass, I don't know that it makes a huge difference. Although you will see, especially somebody who's has a difficulty hitting the golf ball solid, it's probably harder to hit off grass. I would assume you're going to hit a lot of heavy golf shots.
I hit terrible. I hit terrible on turf.
Oh, really?
It's in my head now.
Interesting.
I hit terrible on turf. On grass, it's a different story. Like Julio's played with me. I'm not terrible, but I just we went to a golf simulator. What was it? A couple weeks ago.
You have a hard time.
And what did I shoot? Like a 105.
105.
Like the ones that you chip on. So like you have to chip and everything, and use the automatic putt. For whatever reason, like I think I had like 30 to.
That's
25
a little different,
strokes
though.
just for
That's
chipping.
A little different.
I chip over the green.
Is very, very, very difficult.
True.
On some of the simulators, right? Because one of the things is you don't have the visual of like where you're actually going, and you don't feel you're not feeling the turf. Everything's level, right? So it is very, very different. Specifically chipping, but relative to fitting someone for a driver or an iron, I don't see that. I don't see that it really makes
don't matter. The driver.
When you're fitting someone for a wedge, again,
Okay.
like wedge fitting is important, but specifically playing on a simulator is very different than fitting somebody. Yeah. Especially for short shots, like pitching, chipping.
For sure.
Right?
Cool.
And we don't play on a simulator at all. It's just not. Some people will tell you that it's accurate. I mean, it's relative. When it comes down to the accuracy of you hitting your 8-iron or a 7-iron on a full swing, or even a relatively half swing, 3/4 swing, it's going to be within about a half yard of the track of the actual distance, which is pretty close. So,
okay, heck yeah.
Well, cool. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and close it out here. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Please make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Fore Dads Podcast, and please give us a subscribe on YouTube. Fore Dads Podcast, and look forward to hearing your feedback on this video, guys. We'll see you next week.